Did you see that there's a new social media? Instagram Threads?
Yeah, kind of new. I signed up for my account or whatever, but I just never. It's one I can't do more than two things.
Yeah.
Plus, my brain doesn't think like Twitter, which Threads kind of basically is. And so, um, I just I don't. I'm better at pictures than words, and Threads is all about words, and then so it's probably not going to happen for me.
Yep. Let's see here. I don't know. I can't do it now. Instagram messages. It's just Jody and I. Okay. Text messages. Let's see. Andrew was texting. How did I get this? Yeah, Zoom.
Oh no,
What?
I just closed my Chrome, think because I had opened one collective Chrome. Oh no, and I closed my own Chrome and I had all these things open that I needed open. Will it open it back up? Please open back up. Nope. Damn it. Sorry. Oh, that was recorded. Yay. Oh man. Anyway, I wonder if it's just gonna be you and I.
Andrew was interested, which it may devolve into a prep for other things, but
Yeah. If nobody comes, I will only be able to stay for a little while. I have a little more pressing matters to deal with. Um, hope that's okay.
fine with me.
Have you seen Jody?
I saw her for the first time last night. She came and stood over by the bathroom over here, which is about 8 feet away, because she thinks that she may have COVID now.
Oh no.
I don't think it's a serious one. I had it a few weeks ago before Christmas and it wasn't too bad. So, um, but with the surgery and all that stuff, it's not fun for sure.
No.
But
You don't want to cough with
yeah, you don't want to cough. You don't want to do anything. You already feel like you lost half your gut. You don't want to be doing that and losing more.
oh.
So, but are you traveling?
Yeah, well, I'm up at the lake, up at Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
Yep, but I'm working. It's kind of like usually I do a little mini planning retreat about this time every year. I get away and go by myself somewhere. But this year it had to devolve into finally finishing that website of mine that I've been needing to do. So instead of planning, I'm working, but whatever.
You know,
At least it's concentrated time and
it's good.
yeah.
I would be able to concentrate in a hotel room. I'd be like, hotel rooms are for relaxing and sleeping all the time and watching TV I don't get to watch at home, which
Yeah.
yeah.
Takes some effort, but I feel like I'm better away in a different environment than I am at home. And
Yeah.
even my office. And as long as I let myself take little breaks,
That's good.
see things and do things, but just little things. And it works out.
How's your website coming?
Well, just takes so much longer than you think. I last night worked really hard and finished my home page, except for like a few little things that I have to find old images that I don't seem to have the hard drives with me or any way to get them. Anyway, and the bare minimum I need now is a seniors page with a little more information in depth, and then finish my contact form. I definitely need more than that for my site, but I need that to move on to recruiting for my next team because I wanted something prettier up there than my current website for them to see. So that's the bare minimum, and that's where I'm at. But
Yeah,
I still have a lot of work to do on it.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot
Yeah.
of
But I'm trying to go for something instead of perfection.
yep, get it up there. You can always go back and edit it and
I will have to, but yeah.
pretty much Jody always she'd be like, just get it up there.
Yeah. Do you want to see it? Since
Ew, actually, I would love to.
just look at the main page, the rest of it's not done. Let's see.
Not here, my oh.
Let me know if you have any changes or suggestions.
Oh, yeah, I will.
Put it in the chat.
You know, I built 3 websites in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I wish I could always go back. I know it's not the end of my life right now. I'm only 41. But after some experiences, I wish I could go back and get my marketing degree. It seems like the thing that if I knew that I was going to be in small businesses, that
You
would
could
have,
totally do that. And
I know.
you would be so good at it.
Um,
You already are, without a degree.
I know that, oh, you stuck it in chat. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, sorry. I thought it'd be cool if you just experienced it for yourself.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's a good photo. On the yellow dress. I love that.
Oh, thank you. I was like, which one did I put up there? There's 3 up there, they slide.
Yeah. The you're so editorial.
Thank you. That's what I aim to get.
Like it skips over
What happened?
I hit the down arrow. Oh, celebration, memories, confidence.
Oh yeah, the down arrow, I should change where that goes.
Yeah, it skips down to the congrats you've made to senior year. And it skips the
Okay.
hey, it's
Yeah,
okay, but
I'll change that.
that's cool. I love how you have the script text. I know that in some things you can get that in some builders it's very easy to add that, but in our web builder, Beaver Builder and WordPress, I don't know how to add fonts, so it's awesome.
I want to add a little more of that, like change the signatures of the testimonials to like script. Oh, and I forgot, I need to add a hugs and high fives somewhere on that page. Because that's me.
I recognize these girls.
Yeah, they're kind of old pictures. I need to go through my 2023 and update them, but whatever. I do think that there's something to be said about if the client comes to my page and they recognize people. I think it's a little more impactful than these old photos where they're like, I don't resonate with any of these people.
Oh, It's
So I
got,
need to
you know,
do that.
that scene of you, that gif of you shooting with the smoke, it reminds me of the one on, that lady in California that you were part of that group. I never can remember her name. It's horrible.
Renee?
Hey, she's got a very similar, gif on her website.
Of
It's a
her shooting, yeah.
shooting with a girl in a, big fringy coat.
Yep.
Always wanted to add something like a lot of these types of things to Jody's website. It's just that I don't have them, so I have to get them. But this is the type of stuff that I would like to produce for with the OC for photographers when we're shooting on events,
Yeah.
is clips like this, but it's so hard to remember to get video of that we can use for the rep and video that we can use for the photographer.
You know what? And I tell you what, my site requires the video file to be less than 8 megabytes or whatever it is, MB, which is tiny for a video. So it basically has to be like 10 seconds long and super shrunk down to like really terrible quality. So that was a challenge for me because I was making all these beautiful videos to put on my website. And then I was like, oh, that doesn't work.
It for things like this where it's the background image, yes, they need to be short and super small and what we consider to be poor quality, but because we're viewing them on, it's so short and it's just repeating over and over, they don't have to be great.
Yeah.
If you want to do a great video, even a minute or whatever, and you want it to be high quality, what we do is we upload them to YouTube. And if you don't want people to find it on YouTube, that's fine.
Right.
You make a private channel and not share it, or, and Shelly would be more than happy to tell you all the settings. And then you just embed it in your website.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't give up on that.
You're right.
It's a good one,
Thank
but
you.
for the background stuff, that's what I had to do as well, was I stuck it in as a background image and I've got like 30 minutes of free. 30 minutes is for storage on the website, on their servers or whatever. But yeah, I'm like, ugh, I don't quite like the way that works, so I prefer to just embed it. But then I don't get to have video in the background like this, and I love that. I love,
It's more dynamic.
I really love this.
Thank you. If you click on the any seniors page link, I have updated the header with some more behind the scenes video, and I thought that looked pretty cool too.
Are you using your headshot?
Yeah, I'm gonna get one soon in a couple weeks.
I love how you've got a good mix of looking at the camera and looking away.
Hmm.
That's
I
really,
was afraid that I didn't have enough, like, I'm gonna add them for the 2 testimonials that I need to find pictures for, but like a classic, not a classic portrait, but like closer. I tend to shoot kind of wide anyway though, but yeah, I was trying to show what I do, which is a lot of not looking at the camera. And I'm also speaking to the senior mostly, and they want all that. Their favorite images, you can't even see their faces, you know. So
mhm. Let's see your senior page. Oh, there. Your menu is a little hidden,
it's what?
a little hard to see.
Which menu?
Top of the page,
Oh, okay.
logo. Like I scrolled all the way to the top and then I didn't see it. And I'm like, where's your menu? And then I scrolled down and I saw contact, but I didn't see home and seniors.
Okay.
I
And
thought
I see that.
it was a mistake.
Yeah, that's funky.
Uh,
There will be more buttons up there. Usually there's like 3 or 4 on each side of my logo, but because it's so bare bones right now, I deleted them, but I see that they're misaligned anyway. Maybe I can do something else there.
I don't know, your header images that you have. I don't know if you can put like the little hamburger buttons at the very top, because for me, when I go to a website, that's where I expect to see. the
Yeah, right.
top. And you can do for some websites, even if it's on a computer or it's mobile, you can always just use the hamburger buttons, which are those 3 lines.
Yeah.
And that might be something that's kind of small and hidden, and it's not like so obvious that it ruins those impactful images.
Yeah, and it's better than looking at just those 3 words for now. I do have a hamburger menu on my mobile site, so I could probably like copy that over or something.
You might be able to change the settings, so instead of it going from just smaller devices to all devices, and then that might bring it across on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's seniors, let's go there. And you might be able to add some padding around your logo. That
Yeah.
might
Should I move the words down a little? Is that what you mean?
well, just your logo is really close to the top of the web browser,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't give you any space. It feels a little crowded.
Mm-hmm.
The
Okay.
rest of your website is lots of airy emptiness, which is fantastic because that's what I don't have on any of our websites. I don't have a lot of that empty negative space. And so having your logo so close to the top, it feels a little crowded to me. So if you could
Mm-hmm.
some padding, I would say maybe anywhere between 150 and 300 megapixels,
Mm-hmm.
not pixels, that it might add some, and it may just be that you need to add it at the top and bottom.
Yeah.
That might also help you with the menu and shove that menu over, but maybe not. It looks like there's some layers that are going on that
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Anyway, I would just think about adding some space. Oh yeah, your senior page is your work in progress, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I do have the gallery and the top thing set up, but I think that might be it.
That image of the girl in the on the chair in the canyon, the White Canyon. Is that your photo? We're here to equip business owners with your own creativity.
No.
Okay, that's not even your text. Okay. I was like, that's so underexposed. It didn't look like yours.
Yeah. Can't even see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe, are you in the, do you even see my
Right here.
scroll to the top? Oh, this is wrong. This is a wrong link. Where did you click?
I clicked on seniors.
Oh, great. Cool. That's wrong.
I can't get back. I can't get back to your home.
You can't? Just going back?
Well,
Or click home?
the home, it doesn't work there. Okay.
Oh,
So now I'm here,
okay. Click on,
and that photo is,
that's not me, mine. Scroll down to that arrow in the box on Gracie's picture. Click that.
oh, this text is hard to read. I didn't even,
Yeah. I was trying to make it better, but
I like the idea of making it pink. Pink would be a good, like maybe the border and the text into
okay.
the white screen. Then it would look like an action button all the way around.
Mm-hmm. There we go. That's the work in progress. Not even the words are right, but
I was like, Greyhound brand strategy.
yeah.
It's you shooting. That's cool.
So yeah, pretty much I just put that video up there and then lower there's a gallery, but everything else is not set up yet.
That's
I'm
not,
going,
that's not your video. I was like,
no, no.
I was like, that's a little too.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about, products and session types and give them more information. But that's pretty much all I got on there.
I would, yeah, these are awesome. They're great photos.
Thank you. None of that's done.
Say, what makes this different? A baby farm? Oh, wait a minute, that's not.
Yeah. And I have a whole site plan for this page, but I need to implement it today.
Mhm. That's cool. That's
Do
really
you
good.
know if I'm required to have, I feel like there's some requirement that you have to have an address or something in the footer of your website?
Um, no,
You don't know, or you don't think so?
I think so. I mean, you can just specify. I mean, I guess I've,
Most people do have one, but this one isn't like built into the template, so I was wondering if it's required
um,
on mine. I feel like it might be. Because otherwise I wouldn't have put it on my other site, because I don't want anybody knowing my address.
I think it's more, an SEO thing. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's more a thing about. Do I have to?
As an email.
Emails. There we go. Finish my thought. I think it's more along the lines of that it's a good practice to have.
Mm-hmm.
Can find you.
But that's the thing, is I don't want them to find me at the address I would put is my PO box. So
But if they have a meeting with you and they're like, oh, where is she located? They can either dig through all the emails that you send them, but they can also go to your website. And
yeah.
then they can see, oh, there it is. So then they can just copy that address and get to your studio for a meeting.
Yeah, I just don't want people to just show up.
Well,
But you're right,
you can put on there, like,
by appointment only or something.
like, this is where I'm at. And then you have a link right underneath that footer, underneath the address, saying that, by appointment only,
Yeah.
meet by appointment only. And then you have that, you turn that into a link for people to, go directly to your scheduling program.
Yeah.
And that's the way I would do it, because I don't know how many times I've had, people say they can't find us, and so. And if you go to. On your Google profile, do you have your address on your Google profile?
What's interesting is I didn't think I did, but recently I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's my actual studio address.
Mhm. So
So
it's good to have that in there. Just so that people know that that you're a real business and that
yeah.
some fake thing. So,
Yeah.
you are a brick and mortar type of place. I've got
And
an address twice. I've got it down here in the footer. And then I've got it up here, like if they click that, then that will open up Google Maps and take them directly to,
mm-hmm.
same thing with the phone number, but. That's how I have. Up at the very top, and that kind of stays there along with the menu, I kind of messed up my menu. Disappears, but it's okay.
I love that you have the Tahoe picture there. I love how she's looking back. That's a cool, impactful
Mhm.
header image.
Um, Yeah, that's our landing page.
I do think it's funny though that it's not even a Vegas picture because
We wanted to, well,
Mhm.
when I put this together, it was we were sending out, um, yeah, it's not a Vegas one. You're kind of right. Like maybe I should change that or whatever. If you go to our actual,
that's a cool photo. Hey, Bella, the
I've
one
got
with the horse downtown.
Mhm.
That's cool.
COVID.
Wow. Was the craps table just there?
No, their parents, his dad was the owner of two family businesses that dealt with casino equipment. And
Hey.
so he was like, I just want to do something funny, like, but he wanted to talk about in his images, he really was proud of the fact that his dad and him were, because his grandpa on two different sides, grandparents on two different sides, each had businesses. One was like a lighting company and for like the strip lights, and one was casino equipment,
Hmm.
craps tables and all the machines and all that stuff. And so when his, I think his dad's parents, when they married and had kids, then or his great grandparents, I don't know exactly the story, but anyway, they ended up having both of those family businesses came together into one family.
Cool.
He was very proud of that. And so he wanted to show that in his senior pictures.
That's
And
neat. All
yeah,
that Vegas history and stuff.
so that's his dad was like, oh yeah, simple enough. So they had a trailer and a forklift and loaded it up on the back of the trailer and took it out to the desert.
Took
And
it out to the desert.
that's the great thing about the desert is that you can pretty much do anything there.
Yeah.
Loaded it back up and
Yeah. That's funny.
so
Very cool. I love all those images.
this is our homepage for this one. But I wanted to have a landing page that was more actionable. And so that's what this one is. It's supposed to be more actionable, like plan your photos now. And so then
Mm-hmm.
into the senior photos or learn, if you go to learn more, it takes you to the homepage. And then I wanted someplace to put this video right away. Um, but I had found out that my landing page is not quite a landing page. It is a little more not that.
What do you mean?
It's got too many options. Like I've got a button here and a button here, and I've got the whole menu across the top, and
Mm.
this that they can do, and then I've got this form here, and then I've got all this the social media, and then I've got, which I guess, oh, that's TikTok, not Tumblr. And then I've got a form here, and then I've got all these buttons and all this stuff that they can do. It's not like a true landing page that says book your session. This is what makes us different. Book your session. This is how you can be in this position. Book your session. This is the desk, and none of them, there's no buttons or things to take you away from it except for the button to book. And that's
Mhm.
a landing page. So
Yeah.
for those things, you're like, okay, okay, okay. Oh, I forgot I need to change this form. I wonder if that's just an email. We
I have
changed
a
our subscribe thing over to GoDaddy. No, not GoDaddy, to SiteGrounds
Mhm.
thing. So I had to change that, and I don't like how stupid this looks now. Doesn't matter.
I have a random question. When someone clicks on your contact thing up there, what do they see?
Oh, here,
Uh-huh.
I'm sure. As an image, contact us. And then
What do they get after they input their stuff there? Do they see like a thank you, we'll be in contact, or do they get directed to something else or that send message button is kind of small and like
no, I had to use contact form 7 because it's stupid.
I also have a stupid contact form because it's from my CRM and I don't like it, but
Yeah.
whatever.
I'm pretty much down to the point where I'm telling Jody and Shelley that we need to use something that is native to our website so that we have complete control over how the forms look, because right now they're just dumb. And
Yeah.
about it.
Your website doesn't offer.
The website, the web builder offers MailChimp. And
Oh,
the ones that I recognize from the list, MailChimp, and it's the same thing for the OC. MailChimp is the only one that and Constant Contact and I think iCampaign are that I've heard of.
somehow I'm using Showit. Somehow Showit has, I could use their form and it just sends me an email when someone fills it out, but I'd rather them be inputted into my CRM than I have to do it later, which has been my whole life. All this time is where I input it manually.
Yeah, that button, and I just changed that. It says down here, thank you for the message. It has been sent. So that's
okay. I'm
So-
kind of, mine just pops up with this like, thank you. But I kind of want them to like then have a call to action to do something like check out more examples or follow me on social or something.
like
I'll be
you
right
want a more specific answer, or you want a quicker answer, call me. Even that.
Honestly, Mindy, I really appreciate you looking at my page. It helped a lot.
And then you're
And discussing this stuff. So see, this is funky because I need to make the box bigger or something because yeah. I'd like them to see the whole thing.
Did you embed this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did I do that?
But I can make the box bigger, but
I did that on the OC website, on the Biz Bites page, actually. I had to figure out how to make that bigger, and let me show you the code for that,
okay.
because I had to really dig for it. So right down here, I wanted this to be taller so that
Yeah.
the page showed. And so I had to put in, okay, right here. So mine was a copy, an iframe. I had to copy this text from Google, and that's how I got this to embed. But then it wasn't wide enough. It came out like it was a tiny little, like, quarter page. It was really, I was like, oh, this isn't gonna work. So I had to put in width to 100%, space, height to 600. And without putting in the pixels, the PX for pixel, it just automatically recognized that. And then the SRC is the source, and so that's where that's the picture slash text, like the page.
So it expands to 100% no matter what.
100% width, whatever you
Yeah.
need, but the height is what you really need. And you can change that to what you want it to be.
Oh, okay.
That's what you need to probably just, if you want to, you can write down that. And it's probably an iframe that you have in there. But even if it's not, like, maybe just stick that in right in front of the source. So width equals 100%, and then height is, and you can play with that height number.
Yeah.
And you just keep going up until you are happy with it, until it fits.
Cool. Thanks.
Mhm.
I also think that my builder thing has some options of like to expand some things, like I don't know. I'll have to play with it.
And it's important to know that, which I didn't until Matthew was telling me about it, on our web builder, you can have, sometimes it has a slider, and it'll be 0 to 100 on the slider, but then you're like, it's not big enough, 100's not big enough. Well, then there's maybe a space for a number, you can just put in a number to make it even bigger than you want. Bigger than
Okay.
the slider allows. So if the slider only goes to 100, you're, but that's not enough. I want my margin or I want my padding to be more than 100. Then you just put in a number that you want, like 600 or 250 or 194, something like that.
Except for embedding things, so far I haven't come across like code sections, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. They're just trying to make it easy on the front end, and then there's always a way to work around that or something.
Probably. It really depends on how, because you're pulling this form, you're pulling this form in from your CRM, is that right? Yeah, so it may be on the CRM that you need to specify the height.
Yeah, well, I do remember that code had some numbers in it, so there might be just right there where I can do that. But also in the builder, I made that box and then I put the embed in there, so maybe I can, I don't know.
Oh yeah, if you made that box in the builder, then you should definitely be able to
Change it.
by a height. And you
Yeah.
put that height until it's complete.
When you hover over my number, does it like my phone number? Does it? Yeah. Good.
I like it.
Thank you. I'm excited that someone can text me from my website. I mean, when they are on their phone, usually.
Well, I could do it, but I'd have to open up Google Messages.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yes,
I mean, my site is so outdated. I started just removing like visibility of things because I'm like, this site sucks. And I'm so excited for this new site. Yeah, take a look at this. Oh, that's interesting. When I went there the other day, I didn't see all those things on top. Weird. Anyway, I had no control over anything. It's basically just a portfolio of some of my best work, and then like I even like there's no aspirational anything. I don't know how anybody booked me. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this new one is what my point is.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Thank you. Thank you for your help. I might have you look at my seniors page when I finish that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. It was kind of fun doing this live though. Instead of you just like listing out things.
Faster feedback.
Yeah.
Have to sit there back and forth. So
well, can I help you with anything before we go?
Well,
because you helped me.
No, not necessarily. I'm just gonna tell you my goal for the Jody Real Photography this year. My goal is to I'm a procedural person. Like
really?
Yeah, like what? Oh. No idea. But that's the way my brain works. It's like you have steps, and if you can implement the steps, then the result is going to be what you want.
Yes.
If you don't get what you want at the end of it, then your steps aren't right.
Yes.
That's pretty much how I am. So my goal this year is to come up with a better marketing strategy for social media. Jody is big picture, like I want better social media.
Yeah, right.
And Shelly is super detailed, like we need to make a reel for this. And I'm like, oh, like there's a bridge between the two. And I think that I can probably get Jody more as a face on social media because that's really what people want. We're seeing that with Janet and even Kate in Nebraska. And and I have to keep telling Jody, it's like our social media doesn't have to be slapstick funny. Like we don't have to make ourselves look stupid. Like I definitely don't want that. But our social media does need to be entertaining, which means it needs to be something that people look forward to. Like I've got a few people I follow on social media, and again, it's the whole procedural thing apparently, but it's like cleaning really filthy cars. Like I go hunt these people out so I can
Yep.
watch these stupid car shit. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just because it's relaxing to me and it's fun to see how somebody can make something that looks so horrible into something so nice. And I wonder if the car even works after that. And apparently it does. So, um, but anyway, so those are the things that I hunt out, and I want people to hunt out our social media.
Yeah. You do have something a little different than those entertaining videos though, is that you're also trying to sell a product.
Right. And so that's where I stumbled across to somebody on Instagram who were like, these are the 3 content pillars that you need to talk about for a service industry. And that's the thing, is like, we're more than just we are not influencers. We're a service. We provide a service. So what are the things that we really should be talking about? And they were who you are, and see, I always forget right at this moment. One of them was products. I remember that one. The products you sell, who you are, and like something like not what makes you different. That goes in with who you are. I guess
What's it like, maybe?
what?
What's it like the experience?
Oh yeah, thank you. The client experience. So those are the 3 things. So the client experience, who you are, and the products that you sell. And I started thinking about, I was like, yeah, like those are the things that we already are talking about. It's just that I didn't understand what, because Jody's big picture and Shelley's tiny little focused. And I'm like, there's like, I feel like we're just always floating. And Jody says, I need this. And she wants it to happen, immediately. I'm like, that's not how marketing happens. Like you have 6 months of planning to put out what you're going to put out. And
Right.
so we need to have a map of some kind. Well, if you're not going to have a map, then you need to have these content pillars, and I'm learning what those are. And it just helps with taking the big picture and making it more solid. And we do have an interesting story. Jody's business, while she's the sole owner of it, um, it is comprised of sisters. And
Mm-hmm.
we do have, all 3 of us have brought our talents into it. And yes, she's the big sister and she tells us what to do, but we've always had that. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we do have an interesting story on the business side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we aren't 3 sisters photography, but we all are there and that's our story. And then it makes for an interesting dynamic in the business as well. So people do find that interesting, especially if we can relate to other people that have sisters or not, whatever. And
Yeah.
then client experience is quite good. And we've been doing a fairly good job of that, but like,
Can I go back to the about you real fast?
yeah.
Another thing you could also touch on is like how your personalities then translate into the client experience. And like you love to XYZ for the client, and Jody loves to XYZ for the client, and things like that. Because it kind of combines the two, but it is about you. It's about like I've been told that I'm really good at making people feel great about themselves, and that's me, but it's also the client experience.
Mhm.
So you could highlight those things.
Yeah. Yes. And so it just, that's a good point. That is a point. It just helps us focus. And so if we're like, well, what are we going to talk about this week? I was like, well, we need to talk about these 3 things. We always know what we're going to talk about. So
Have you ever heard like the concept of like every time you post something, you're basically trying to speak to your target audience. Like I have this girl nailed down to like where she shops and what she does in her free time, and I just recently named her. I was having a hard time naming her. But every time I'm trying really hard, every time I like think of something to post, which is why I haven't posted much lately, is because I want it to be to her. Like I'm talking directly to her.
Mhm.
Would she find this interesting? That kind of thing. So you have to put that into your content instead of just giving information in pretty photos. You have to speak to them, which is really difficult for me.
Yeah. Do you find that you have two clients, that you have the parent and the senior?
I do. I definitely do. But I find that I can cover the parent a little bit if I'm talking to the senior, because the parents nowadays just want their senior to have a good time and enjoy the whole thing and get their value. But if they can tell that I'm talking to the senior and I'm going to make them feel special, then I don't have to be speaking directly to them.
Okay.
I feel like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Honestly, 90% of my clients come from the senior. They reach out to me, they do most of the booking stuff, and most of the time the boys that I book are from the moms. But
The boy moms are going to where the girls are, because
yeah,
the girls are the boy, like, well, where'd your girlfriend go? Where'd your so-and-so go? Where'd your friend from down the street or whatever?
especially if they are the type that values and appreciates the photography, and yeah.
Mhm. So yes, that's good to know, because we've always, Jody and Nez, well, I've got two clients. I said, I know, but while the parent is paying for things, I think we really need to focus our social media on the teen and the experience that they want to have.
I think so too.
And because more and more and more, the and I saw it in Dallas this last week. My sister, Shelly, they had to buy a new vehicle. It was very stressful for them. But
Mm-hmm.
my 13-year-old niece was very adamant that she be involved, to the point that I'm going to go with you on these test drives. I'm going to go sit in the meetings while you get the loans all figured out. She didn't care about any of that. She just really cared about the vehicle that they ended up getting. And she wanted to be involved in it, which was great, because she has learned a little bit more about how to go about buying a vehicle, which is a very terrifying thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so it was great that she wanted to be involved with that. I was like, yeah, you go for it, girl. Like, I've only
Yeah.
bought people in my life. Otherwise, they all came from family. And I was terrified, and I was 35. So when I did it,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah,
was
that's good.
involved in that. But she was very adamant that she wanted to, if she couldn't pick out the vehicle and make the parents buy the one that she wanted to be involved in it, so that she knew exactly what vehicles they were getting, and they weren't going to get some dumpy looking minivan again, because that was what she was terrified of, I guess.
Yeah, they're more involved in stuff, in big financial decisions and big decisions like that.
I thought that was interesting to see
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
with the teens. And kids are more involved in where their families will go on vacation, and parents listen to that.
Yeah. Just the other day, so I have a nephew, my husband's sister has a son who's the most spoiled child, only child of older parents, and anyway, who are retired, both of them, so they have nothing but time to spoil the child. Anyway, but someone was getting rid of a bed that was only slept in once, and they thought this would be a good way of upgrading his bed from his like toddler to convertible, whatever. He's 8 years old. They were like, but I need to make sure that Liam likes this bed, so I'm going to take them over to see it. And I'm like, when I was a kid, my parents would make that decision and would have just brought the bed home, but Liam had every say in this decision of whether this bed is good enough for him or whatever. And I was like, this is the strangest thing, but they have so much more say, is what, like, I'm also concluding that, yeah.
It just, and you see little things like that. And once you're aware of it, you're like, and then you start seeing firsthand. I don't really see it with like clients so much, because they come in and I don't know them so much on a personal level. I mean, like, yeah, I know that the kid is probably making the decision or whatever to come to our studio, but on a personal level, that's when I really see it, because I know my sister and brother-in-law. I know my nieces and nephews. And when I see them doing something, I'm like, oh, it is happening. It's not some weird thing that somebody just says, but you're like, yeah, it really
I
does.
see it. I see it a lot in my ordering sessions, good or bad. Like the kids are like, you don't need to spend that much. And I'm like, shut up. And or the opposite. You know, they do run the show in my case a lot of the time.
We found that same thing is for, yeah, the teenagers are like, if they're very conscious of things, they're like, no, I can't do that. Like we don't need to do that much.
Yeah. And I'm like, this isn't for you. Stop it.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. It's like, yes, we realize that you don't feel like you need to have all these images or whatever or
Printed and all that. Yeah.
thing, but and that's where it comes down to where your product pricing is like, yeah, you can buy all these digital images, but it's actually going to cost you more than if you just get the album.
Yeah. And then you have something beautiful. And trust me, you will like this down the road. I can't convince you, but you will appreciate this a whole lot in 5-10 years.
So anyway, that's my goal for the studio is to improve
Good.
to make a procedure out of our social media and
That's
not
great.
like we're throwing stuff on the wall because we're not getting the engagement that I want. And I want people to come to Jody Rell Photography for what are those crazy sisters talking about today?
Yeah.
And
I
so
love that so much. You can totally do that.
yeah, my goal is to get when Jody's feeling better. My goal is to have every Thursday we sit down or not sit down, but we film our reels. So like she knows on Thursday she has to be put together because and if she's like absolutely not, I'm not going to, then fine. We're gonna do some non-face B-roll, like the back of your head. So like put your hair down. We're gonna make you look nice. And it may be you cleaning the studio, like putting your equipment away. And it may be just something that you're playing. Like you see all of these things with photographers, and I don't care that I see them because I follow photographers. It's something that we can put together and we just speak to our client and we speak to our person,
Mhm.
and
That's
so
good.
we
I
focus.
also need to make a marketing strategy and implement it
It's hard.
so much better than last year because I failed miserably last year. That is one of my goals as well.
I actually used Chat GPT to help me, and then I realized that I told it, I took a screenshot. I was at the airport that was a horrible flight. It's horrible, but
Why?
the flight back from Dallas was absolutely horrible. So we get through Dallas, which from where Shelley is to the airport is like an hour drive, which is crazy that it's all city. But we get there and we have to go around. And on our way around, we go through Deep Ellum, which I've never been in, but I'm like, oh, this is Deep Ellum. Like, I know somebody who shoots here all the time. And so then I was like, oh, this is cool. So this is what it looks like. Oh, yeah, it's like the arts district in Vegas, except huge. It's not like one or two streets, it's like a whole lot. And I was like, I can see why someone would like this for photos. Anyway, we get through there and we come around closer to the airport and we see protesters outside the airport. And they're waving the Palestine and Israeli flag. I don't know which one. I think it's Palestine flags. And I'm like, oh, they're protesting. I don't know why they're protesting here. It doesn't seem like all that great of a place to be protesting. Anyway, finally, the plane is delayed because of all the weather that was happening through the Midwest. We finally get on the plane, and then we sit there because the plane was delayed, but now our pilots were delayed from their flights coming in. So they have to get in, hustle over to where the new plane is that they're flying. Oh my gosh, this is just a story. So then we sit there on the tarmac at the gate, more. Okay, finally the pilots show up. But now we have to wait because POTUS is on yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's why the protesters were outside the airport.
Oh,
And so I'm like making connections. And so then we have to sit there for another 20 minutes or so while he takes off because nobody can be on the runway while that Air Force One is on the runway. So
Wow.
take off, we finally take off and we're flying over New Mexico. And it was really interesting. We took off and it wasn't too bad. Two things that happened, but I looked out the window when I realized that we were over New Mexico. And I'm like, oh, let's see where we are. And I look and I swear I saw all the pileups of the truckers on I-40 from that horrible, because I see it now on social media where there's just like vehicle and semi after semi, and it's like a freaking parking garage on the side of the interstate. I'm like, oh dear Lord, those poor semi drivers and all the other people. It's just horrible.
Wow.
But it was really interesting. It's like there was lights constant all the way through there, but it was so clear. But anyway, the most horrible part of it, this flight was just the flight from hell, I swear. I am sitting about 10, there's like 50 people on the plane. So it was really empty, which was nice. I had a whole row of 3 seats to myself.
Nice.
Lay down if I want to, because we're delayed now by like 2 hours and I'm like super tired. And it's like late at night. Like we got the late flight. Like we were supposed to be leaving like at 8:30 or something, 7:30, and we'd be getting into Vegas about 9:30 or so. So it's not too bad. But then everything's delayed, of course. So now it's like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm just like, oh. Anyway, so then suddenly though, I'm just like, oh man, I'm so hot. I take off my sweatshirt like pretty quickly. Like before we even take off, I take off my sweatshirt. Why are they putting out so much heat? And they pass out drinks, and I'm like, oh, I take the can of ginger ale and I stick it right here on my vein. I was like, oh, I'm so hot. And I'm like adjusting the vents and all this stuff. And I realized that putting out hot air, it felt like all 3 of those vents were putting out the equivalent of 10 hair dryers each. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. And I could not get cool. I started to heat up, like all the parts of me. I'm like taking off my boots and like I'm pulling my shirt up on my bellies because I needed some more air to get to my skin. And I'm like pulling my sleeves up. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna start stripping here because I was so hot. We couldn't figure it out. I'm like, I'm not going through heat flashes. I'm not doing any of this. It's not biological. Like there is something wrong with this plane. And of course, after Alaska Air, it was freaking me out. And so they come back by and I've never called a flight attendant in my life, but I've called the flight attendants. I'm like, you have to turn the heat down. I'd already asked them once, like, it's really hot. You guys need to turn the heat down. They turn it down for a while. It becomes manageable, but it was still like hot. And then suddenly the heat turns back up and it like really goes up. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what in the hell? So I called the flight and was like, it is really hot. I am getting sick. I am going to throw up all over this plane. And I was being a little dramatic because they were not understanding me.
Yeah.
And, like, this is bad. Like, you need to cool this off. So they go back up and they're like trying to figure it out or whatever. And it doesn't happen. It just continues to blow that hot air. They bring me a bag of ice. So I use that and it like cools me off a little bit, but I'm like, oh, it's still so hot. And they're like, well, the front of the plane is not hot. I'm like, I'm only 12 rows back. Like how? So I get up and there was an empty seat. So I get up and I go forward and row 3, it's like an ice box. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Wow.
And like 12 rows back, it was hot. And 3 rows, I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, so mom was like, I'm gonna leave a message. I'm gonna leave a review. I'm like, you do that because that was horrible. Like, I don't want to repeat that again in my life. So
What airlines was that?
in Southwest, I've never had that experience before.
Wow.
Anyway, it's still traumatic to me, apparently. But we're home. We landed safely and no doors came off and
Yes.
wall plugs or whatever they are. So
That's good.
important thing. Yes, that's
Winning the day.
yes. We got home safely.
Good.
it was interesting. We're walking out of the plane. I'm like, you guys got to fix your vents. Like something was wrong back there. And so we got off and we get into the connector tunnel thing, whatever that is. And I'm just in a t-shirt. And I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm back to desert weather. It's so nice and cold. So I walked
Yeah.
the entire airport in just a t-shirt and I walk all the way outside and we're waiting at the curbside pickup for a friend to come get us. And I'm in t-shirt. I'm just like, I am still hot. Like it was cold. It was really cold here. And I am in t-shirt. I mean, that's just a testament to how really hot it was.
Yeah.
Not able to cool my core down.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy.
That's one little silver lining is that you had that row to yourself, so you weren't having to worry about like being next
I
to hot
know.
bodies.
I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine what it was, but I think that they're the people like that were in front of my parents, which they were on the other across the aisle from me. They shared a row with just the two of them. But the people right in front of them, I was like watching, I was looking. I really couldn't see people behind us because no one really had their lights on. But the people in front of us had a light on, and that guy, he was taking his sweatshirt off, and people were fiddling with their. So the people right around us were really hot. But and I don't, it was the whole Alaska Air thing that kind of freaked me out about unbuckling and walking around. Normally, I've been like, oh, I gotta, you know. But if I'm sitting, I'm gonna be buckled up because that's what they tell we need to do, and obviously,
Yeah.
the reason why.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was one of those things where I'm like, if it had been anything else, I would have gotten up and walked around and whatever, but um it was a couple different things that were freaking me out. So,
Yeah.
but yes, I'm really glad that there was nobody else sitting right around me because
Mhm.
I had thought of that. It was like if I had, like, I would have been like freaking
Oh,
sure.
and it would have made things hotter, just having to share that space with
Yep,
other hot bodies and yeah.
yep.
Okay, I must go. Um,
Good goal.
well, I didn't tell you my goals. What?
Yes.
Um, I haven't really thought about it completely and like fine-tuned it. I always have the same goals every year because I don't always accomplish them, but I really need to focus on my health this year. And so that might mean really being able to nail down processes and blocks of time for that, but also for my business so that I don't have to waste so much not waste, spend so much time on it and that I can fit in the health aspect of everything. Um, it's even if I make a little less next year, I think that's important to get that my feet underneath me in the health aspect.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's where I'm at. Um what were my words? I also kind of want a second day off a week, which
Yeah.
sounds silly, but I think because I'm not working efficiently enough, or I feel like I need to work more or something. Um, so my business has to be set up well, and I don't know. I wish I had a Mindy because that would help me a whole lot. Someone to implement things for me. Um, but anyway, health is it's a personal goal, but it's also it relates to the business too.
It does. I don't disagree with you. I after our CrossFit gym closed down, but then I hadn't been going to the gym for a year and I was paying stupid memberships for it. I was so mad at myself, but I hadn't been going because when I started going, the studio was in the same building as the gym. And so it was really easy during your lunch over the lunch hour when we didn't have clients come in at the lunch hour. And so lunch hour, you just hop across the hallway, literally, and you join the class and then you come back out and then you get right back into editing or you get back into whatever you were doing. Or you had clients show up for meetings or whatever about 1:30. And so you had time to do that and it was all right there. But then we took the studio out of that building because they were dumb and increasing their rates like crazy amounts. It was really good because then COVID happened. Well, then of course, COVID, it was really hard and we couldn't go to the gym. And I'm turning this into myself, and I'm not meaning to, I'm just,
No, yeah.
right. And so then, long story short, the gym couldn't survive the COVID problems because he had to increase his rates because of the fact that the building owners increased their rates and he couldn't make it happen. And then the last thing that happened was like, we're going to increase your rate again. And he's like, nope, I'm done. He had to either renew or get out. And he's like, I'm not doing it. And so he shut down. And it was right before we went to London. And it was like a week. It was a week before we went to London. He's like, sent out an email overnight and he tells like, okay, I'm shutting down. And so we get back from London. He was very raw. He was very emotional. It was really sad. But we get back from London and it was, I try working out at home. I'm like, this is not happening. It's not working out. And so I'm starting looking at some alternatives, but I know that I need to work out. I know I need it. I need to be moving at least twice a week, thoughtfully about what I'm doing. And I don't do, anyway, I don't run, put it that way. I just don't run. My knees and my
Not good for your body anyway.
good for my ankles anyway, because I will break them. But so I get a hold of one of the old coaches that I hear is doing one-on-ones and he'll come to your house. And Colby does it, but he charges an amount that I can't afford. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be great. I would love it. But it's like $300 a session. I'm like,
Oh my God.
no, like, are you moving my body for me?
And feeding me grapes? No.
No, I was like, no. I was like, I can't do that. And so, I reach out to the other guy and he's charging $30 an hour. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. And so I calculated how much I was spending on the gym and how much I can spend in one-on-one classes. I'm like, okay, I can do 2, maybe 3 a month or 3 a week. I mean, if I go with him. And so then, but the reason is, and the thing that really kicked me into it was after London, we were walking pretty much through the city. Like it was paved, it was fairly easy walking, lots of easy transportation. You could get on the underground, you could get an Uber, or taxi, whatever. It was easy. Ireland is not going to be that easy. Like we are going to be trekking up these stupid 1,000-foot cliffs. And I'm like, no. So that was the thing that really kicked me into finding a way to be healthier and to increase my stamina more than anything. Always a goal if I can lose some weight, but I need to be better at moving and getting up and down and all that stuff. So
Good.
40-pound pack on.
At least you have something to kind of work, like remind yourself why. Mine's like just I had some like heart rate things that I was having checked out by a cardiologist, and I did a stress test, where they make you run on a treadmill and read your heart, and she was like, your heart looks fine and I'm not really concerned with anything, but you're deconditioned. And I was like, what does that mean? She's like, you're out of shape. I was like, oh, okay. So she really wants me to work out 5 days a week, 30 minutes a day. And I'm like, oh, okay. But it's kind of good when a doctor tells you versus like, you're just like, I should do this. And, I don't know, I have to make it happen still, but, and I'm probably giving too much information out on this recorded video, but,
Pause it if you'd like, or I can just turn it
we
off.
really don't need to post this one anywhere because we didn't do anything. What?
I'll have Shelly edit it if we do decide to post it.
I'm having a biopsy on my breast next week. And I'm just like, sometimes the thought goes through my brain, like, what if they say I have breast cancer? Like, am I living my life the way I want? So things like that go through your brain, and It's gonna cost me $3,400 for this damn biopsy. Yeah,
Wow.
it's great. But then I'll know, I guess.
Yeah.
And if I don't spend that money and don't get the biopsy and I do have breast cancer, then I won't live to spend that $3,400 on anything else. So
Oh,
yeah. Anyway,
oh, Gretchen, prayers,
thank you.
the joys of getting older, but yeah, be thinking
I had my first mammogram and then they were like, we see signs of cancer. And I'm like, ah.
whoa.
Yeah.
I had my first one uh this last year. I think it was this last year, maybe it was 2 years ago. Um, and you get so many varying information about women's health. Like one doctor says, no, at the age of 35, you need to have a breast exam, like mammogram once every year. And then other people are like, no, you don't need to have it until you're 45 and then once every 2 years. So I'm like, and then
Yeah.
all of it. Like I even had a doctor tell me once that unless you're sexually active, which I'm not, but unless you're sexually active, you don't need to come in for a female exam.
Yeah.
You don't need to do it annually. It's just once
Right.
every 2 years. And I'm like, I'm 35. Like at that time, I was like, I don't think that's quite right.
Right. I know.
Oh,
Yeah, and you're right. Everybody has a different opinion and things are changing so much. You're like, which my mom had breast cancer, so I am kind of higher risk, so I have to do it more often, like apparently. But same with colon cancer. I can't do the poop in the box thing because I'm higher risk. Which is great. I get to do that soon. Yay. Yay. But yeah, it's the money of the whole thing and
you have
sucks.
you have insurance?
I do, but the deductible is 6,000. So pretty much nothing gets covered but the 3,400 is gonna push me really close to that 6,000. So I'm gonna try to get all of it done this year.
Get all the stuff done that you have to for the year. You
Yeah.
know, get it done. You start early this year and you get all the stuff.
I see all the specialists that I want and yeah.
Yep, that's the way to do it. And then you're like, okay, next year I get to take a break.
Yeah, I hope.
2 years I can spend $6,000 on my deductible. People, come on.
Yeah.
I was gonna get
Crazy.
something in between there.
It sucks because this last year I didn't start going to the doctor until like later in the year, like the last quarter. And I still made it to like 2,200 of the deductible. And I'm like, oh, I should have started next year, but whatever.
Yeah,
The whole thing's ridiculous.
I know that you can take that off of your expenses for taxes. Like if you want to itemize all of that, but
It's really hard to do medical expenses because the standard deduction is so high and you can only take a percent of your like adjusted gross income of the medical expenses. And so you have to have like hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical expenses to be able to write it off. Now the standard deduction is so high that you really don't itemize in most cases.
I did a couple years. I'm going to itemize everything. And it took me forever to do my taxes, but I did. And they're like, oh, we've determined that the standard deduction is the best.
Yep.
So the next year I did it. No, I'm going to itemize everything because I paid for dental work and I paid for this and I got
Yep.
new glasses and no, the standard deduction is the best. I'm like, ah.
I know. It's
like, nope, standard deduction, standard deduction, standard deduction.
when we first started doing our own taxes as adults. So like when we were like, 20 something, it was a much lower standard deduction and itemizing was kind of common, like, but now it's gotten pretty high and it's really hard to meet. So yeah, my mom spends so much stress trying to itemize or send in all the documentation for her stuff. And last year I was like, do you even get anything but the standard? Do you and we finally looked it up and she's like, I get the standard deduction. Why am I stressing so much? I mean, you still need to pay attention because some years you might be able to itemize. You gotta kind of know, but like some years you just know that you don't have to stress about keeping all those records.
Yeah, it really comes down to when you do your taxes yourself, you kind of are like, I'm spending a lot of money on this, whatever it is. And then you're like, but it's not until you do your own taxes and you're conscious of it. Like
Yeah.
you're aware that, oh yeah, this is something that's gonna be adding up and I'm doing a lot more of this than normal. But if you're not aware and you're just credit card, cash flowing everywhere, and you're not aware of those things, then it doesn't really matter.
When
Like,
most accountants aren't gonna really like lead you
mhm.
in that regard, but
Not for personal, for business maybe, but maybe not. I don't know.
yeah.
But
Okay, I must go. I really enjoyed this conversation and thank you. And go make a plan for your marketing.
yes, I was like, I had to, I'm editing, I've got another 160 images to edit for Jaren for London. And then my albums will be done.
What is the printed thing that you had in front
Oh,
of you?
sorry, that's the album printouts. Pretty much all we do is we use ProSelect. This is not the actual album page, but what it does is it takes all the 1,000 images that we processed for London. And because they ordered 5 albums, one for the younger brother, one of the younger brother and the older brother together, and then 3 albums for Jaren, one in London from the pre-days that we shot, one of London from the OC days of just him, and then one in Ghent. And so they bought 5 albums. And so I've done the brothers, but to organize it because we have so many photos. Oh, and then they bought 2 magazines. Along with the London magazine from the OC, they'll buy those. But that's a lot of images and I didn't want to duplicate the images from his individual albums in the brother albums. And so I want to make sure that I was using unique images for all the products. For the most part, some of them like for the magazine, but between the magazines, because magazines have a different purpose.
Yeah.
They're for sending out to potential jobs or whatever, possibly. They're for brand development for him.
Mm-hmm.
Magazines are for the mom, or the albums are for the mom.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have unique images in all of those for the most part. I think I've got 1 or 2 that duplicate because I got in and I started editing. I was like, I didn't like that one. So, but anyway, for the most part, they're all unique. And so, 80 images in each album, that's
400.
400 images.
Yeah.
And so it was really procedural. It was a lot of images that I had to keep track of. And so I printed in ProSelect, I designed images. So I went through and I said, okay, well, this image is the brothers together. And so I had to pick brother images of them together. But then that's a lot of images of the 2 of them together. And so
Yeah.
I needed to break it up with individual images of them. And so I had to build that album in essence together. I mean, I had to build that one first. And then I was able to build Bodhi's album, the younger brother. And then I was able to build Jaren's album. And then
While eliminating and keeping track of which is in
while
what.
eliminating and not using those images. And so I had to we use ProSelect for the sales, but we also use it for just per client organization of their images to
Mhm.
know where those images are being used in what products. And sometimes, for the most part, most of the time we duplicate those images. So if they're
Right.
wall portraits or they're used in announcements or albums or whatever, prints, we use the same one. So if
Yeah.
a single client, and they bought an album, we would use those same images in announcements and wall portraits and everything else. So it'd be those same 80 images. For this client, all she bought was albums, pretty much, and a few storyboards. And I was trying to keep it straight. So I've got this one here is Jaren and Bodhi in London. So this is the brother album. And then I've got,
And you refer to the printouts?
I do. Well, once I have them, I print them out, but then ProSelect, you can add them into production. And so then you can design your albums directly in ProSelect. It's a little clunky because then you export the Photoshop files and then you do your final editing in there. That's how we used to do it when I first started working for Jody, but then Studio, White House has an online album designer and that's what we use now.
Oh,
So
so you printed them to recreate them in Studio?
Right, so this one is his Bodhi album. So pretty much all it is I take the images that I think kind of work well together, and I start off, I'm like, okay, well, I would put these 4 on a spread in the final design. I would take these 5 maybe and put them into a final design, something like that. And then, but pretty much what happens after that, it's a bad example because I got rid of part of them. For this one here, like I would not be putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 images on a single spread. Like that's a lot. They're going to be pretty small. So pretty much I'm just using this printout of the spreads just to make sure that I have all of the images that I want in that album in a place where I can edit them. And so then I go through and I open each image and edit it in Photoshop. So
They're not
that's how we edit.
edited yet.
We edit the the Photoshop file in Photoshop, not the raw in Lightroom. Like that's like that process. Pretty much what happens is we get the raws in off the camera, we cull them, we send them off to our color lab. They do that initial edit, we get them back, we export them from Lightroom as ProSelect as Photoshop files. Then it goes into 2 different places. Those Photoshop files go into a ProSelect album that we use for our sales with the client. But those Photoshop files also go into our marketing catalog. And that marketing catalog then is, it has all from the entire year. It has, or 2 years. I decided to go with 2 years. I did one where it had everything that we had on hard drives. And it was like 7 years. It was a massive thing, but it was really good to see like, oh, I need an image that has this. And I'm like, oh yeah, we had that one photo shoot, and I go back and I find it. So it has all the client, that marketing catalog has all the client photos in it. It has all the OC destination shoots in it. It has all of the creative concept photos shoots that we do if we did them this year. But for 2 years, I would keep all of those in there. And then when those 2 years are over, I retire that catalog and I start over. It really depends on how full it is and how cumbersome it becomes. I can't find things in it, then that's when I would retire and start over. But by having that marketing catalog, I'm then able to be like, I don't have to be like, oh, I really want that one photo of that girl that we did on the rocks in Tahoe. What catalog was that in, or what client was that in? I don't have to do that. They're all in one. And so then I'm able to organize it, and that organization is a whole other thing there. But all of those images are there, and I have access to any of them. So if I want it for the website, I want it for social media. The cool thing is that we've put that onto Dropbox, and now Shelly has access to it, as well as Karen, our graphic designer in Nebraska. So if they want a specific photo, then, or if we need an ad for some reason and Karen's designing it for print, she can get into that catalog and be like, oh, I want this photo. So she'll mark it in the catalog, and then we can get into it. Because we're not putting the PSD files in Dropbox, she can't export from there, but we can then get in on our end where we have them saved. We can export it and just send her that one file instead of sending her 15 full res images in Dropbox and say, choose from one of these, and she doesn't like any of them. She can pick from any. And then Shelly, for social media, she can get in there and she can export from that, just using the smart previews, which is nice.
If we ever talk about systems with other people, this will be an interesting conversation, because I started doing where I do one catalog per client, and I love that for the vastness of it, and then I can just archive it. But for teams, yours works a whole lot better. But if you're a solo person, it's less cumbersome to do individual ones, I think. But I can totally see why that's great for you guys.
So that's our marketing catalog, and that it may have some edits like Photoshop edits, but pretty much when you make a change on your hard drive, so like when I open it up in Photoshop and make a change to the file, when you get back into the Lightroom catalog, it'll ask you, hey, this image has been changed on the hard drive. Do you want to update it there, or do you want me to overwrite the settings? And pretty much it's not going to change the hard drive settings on that file, but it'll, yeah. So then you update that and you're like, oh yeah. So anyway, it's a whole organization thing. For them,
Still,
so pretty much what I do is once I'm done editing the images from this, then I save them as full res JPEGs and I put them into White House Online Album Designer. And then that's how I finish off the project is
Mm.
I design it there. And then I send the proof to the client through they just have a link that you can just one page at a time. They
Yep.
can, there's no place for them to like sign off on it saying it's great, but they just send us a text or an email. And then we order it directly from there. So
Interesting. At first I was like, that sounds like a whole lot more work, but I think the difference between, because you design something in, what is it called, ProSelect, and then you redesign it again. But I think just the difference is that I edit my photos ahead of time, so they're all ready to go when I'm designing the products.
mhm.
So I do the work up front, basically.
Yeah, we only final edit two categories of images. One, the ones that clients buy. And if we find that any of those images are, we'll edit those, like fine tune edits, like pimples and blemishes and taking people out if we need to from surroundings. But then, if they don't pick some of the ones that are fantastic marketing images or sample images, that's the second category is,
Mhm.
and that's what we use the Lightroom catalog for, is I organize for each client, they each have a little folder and that has all of their images from the entire session. And then underneath in that same folder, we have a collection of the images that are edited. And then in that same folder, I've got one like all images. Let's say you were a client, because I can't think of a name. So Gretchen was a client, right? And we have 120 images that we shot of you. And so all of them that were processed go into that folder. Not the raws. The raws are pretty much discarded at this point, but all of the initial edits, 120 images. But let's say that you only get an album of 40 images because that's what you want. So those images will be edited and put into the album and sold, and that's, you get the album and you get the 5x7s of those as well. But then, let's say that there were 10 images in here that we found were really fantastic, but you didn't order for some reason. We'll take those 10 and we'll add them in there and we'll process them or whatever. Or we come across another image in 2 years and you're like, wow, that's a really good image. Like, why didn't we process that? That's exactly what we need for this thing. So
Yeah.
then we'll edit it and we'll use it for whatever. So that's why I like that marketing catalog, because it allows us to go back and see, or like, oh yeah, I really need an image that just has this. And you're like, oh, there it is. So
Yep. That's cool.
anyway, but I'm
Okay.
down 3 albums. I finished the other one yesterday. I've got 2 more albums to edit and then 2 magazines to choose images for. I gotta get done with them before the end of this month because they'll be done paying for them. So,
You can do it.
yeah. And I gotta do it now while Jody's out of the studio. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, I need all of this done. I'm like, ah.
Yeah. Any movement on any reps for New Orleans?
We are putting out social media and emails, invites this next week.
Cool.
And
Did you see my post about the dress I got for Sarah, hopefully?
you got that dress. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this longer version of it. Well, longer, it's a long dress, but strappy top. It's a little more than I want to pay, but I feel like that's the only outfit that I really need to like buy something specific. Like the other ones we can kind of cobble together with like thrift items and stuff we have. I feel like the floral one is like gonna be the hardest for like sourcing.
I loved that skirt with the that yellow skirt with the flowers. It was just it's a midi length so it hit mid shin with the blue button down shirt on the Pinterest.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite looks, and those button down shirts are so popular now.
Pinterest. Do you have any idea what Shayla has got going on with wardrobe?
I don't.
I didn't think so, but I thought I'd ask.
This one here. I can show
Oh, wait,
myself.
hold on, I'm up. Go ahead and share.
This one.
Oh yeah, that's cute.
And then I saw the same skirt here with like a little halter type thing.
Cute.
I just thought that was
I loved the pants that are on the far right.
here.
That suit, but it's like unavailable.
Mhm.
I like that a lot.
Who was it? Desert Republic,
Mm-hmm.
Wendy Ewing.
Mm-hmm.
She had a similar thing. It was not floral. It was a funky asymmetrical jumpsuit type of thing. Not asymmetrical. It was a jumpsuit, but it was that same type of thing where it was like see-through and it was just embroidered on there. And we used that in Vegas in 21,
Cool.
I think. 21.
On the left under the yellow skirt, that's the top I have, and I was thinking about using it, but I've already photographed it. I guess just once this year, and I thought maybe I might ask Shayla because you don't have any girls yet lined up, right?
Hopes of getting some girls.
What?
We have hopes. We've got a few feelers out for girls.
Okay, well, that could be a possibility for someone who's coming that I might not use, but someone else could. I love that long boutonniere there in the middle.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a new trend is to have those.
Ooh, the flower bow tie, that's cool.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't look that closely at this Pinterest board.
So the bottom ones here are pretty basic.
Right.
They're like
3D would be better than
would be better.
just floral, but you could buy a floral suit and then like add things.
Jaren is a likely possibility for New Orleans.
Okay, cool.
We pretty much just have to get them.
To commit.
Yeah, we just, and it'll be last minute with them. Ish, but we have a lot of styles here that he would
Nail.
nail.
That's the only the only tricky part of doing last minute. Well, not the only. Is we really do need to put these looks together within a reasonable amount of time, or else it's just
it makes me feel better to have looks done at least a month.
Yeah, I mean,
for the event.
Yeah.
And I don't completely rely on him to show up with something that's not. No, that's not what we want.
Right. Yeah.
So,
it's our vision, not theirs.
Exactly. And he did that in London for a few things. I'm like, I would not have. Well, like he did 2 suits without shirts and only one of them was, one was a purple shirt and one was a purple suit and one was a red suit, but he went shirtless underneath it for both of them. I'm like, wait a minute, no.
Yeah.
One look was without a shirt. The other purple one should have had a shirt underneath it because you're layering purple.
Yeah.
So I was like, no.
He can't be trusted.
He can't completely be trusted because he wants to show off his abs because he's got good abs, but
that's, we don't have to do that all over the place.
Can't do that all over the place. I don't want that. And so
okay. I hate to do this, but I really have to pee.
I do too.
Okay. You're the best, and we'll talk soon.